and welcome back around, everyone, to another edition of the Sports Report. It's a special day here. It's Sibley Day on campus. Everybody has the day off, so we're going to be here at LBTV bringing you another edition of the Sports Report. And at this time, we'd like to welcome in Justin Tourneau to the desk. And Justin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, a pleasure to have you back at the desk again this week to talk about, obviously, some more basketball. The Lynx took on the Hannibal LaGrange Trojans last night in yet another American Midwest Conference matchup. And we're going to take a look at the highlights from last night's game. So let's get right to it. So Lynx enter this one against the Trojans on a 2-game winning streak, looking to extend it to 3 and pick up their 17th win of the season, heading down the stretch to conference and national tournament time. We'll pick it up in the first half of action. We talk about Javon Leamy a lot, Justin, and Javon Leamy starting off this ballgame aggressive as usual, driving to the cup and gets fouled.
As you can see, Javon, he's big, physical, and strong, and he's been aggressive of late, and it's been a huge help for the team.
Leamy would go to the line and knock down both free throws. Now Craig brings it up, Lynx with possession. They feed the low block to Noah Allen, and the Lynx really struggle with the aggressive play last night of Hannibal LaGrange. But on the other end, Joe Reed finishes nicely, soft touch around the basket. Hannibal loved the physical play.
Hannibal's a team, you know, they may not have the best record, but they're not going to back down to any opponent. So you always got to play them tough whenever they come into your house.
Deans bringing it up on the break. Nice swing, Noah Allen. He finishes off the glass. Now we see Deans and Allen. The chemistry working again. Give and go from Deans to Allen, back to Deans, and he'll splash in a 3 from the right corner. And the Lynx were all over Hannibal early on, up by 12 with about halfway to play. Noah Allen pulls in the long defensive board up ahead to Brennan Ellinger, and he finishes the break nicely with the finger roll.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see Noel running the break there, but he did a great job and made a great pass for B to finish.
Second half action now. Lynx still up by 8. Craig's going to drive, and the aggressiveness continued for the Lynx. Misses, but Allen goes up and gets fouled. He'll go to the line and knock down the 2 free throws. And then we'll see Craig here, stutter step, cuts to the lane, gets fouled, and Craig will go to the line.
You know, that's what Craig has been doing all year. I don't think anyone in the country can stop him, and that's why he's the best player on our team. Senior
All-American getting it done. Now we see Stephen Campbell knocking one in. Hannibal tried to get back into this ballgame. We see him pushing it up on the break. Nice feed, but chase down block by Javon Leamy, and then another one by Noel Allen. Hannibal LaGrange just could not get anything going against this Lynx defense last night.
That was just a great hustle play by Javon to run down and block that, and another great play by Noel to finish it.
You see Craig right there rocking his man to sleep, pulls the string and lets it fly from downtown and knocks it down. Hannibal had a chance to get back into this game, Justin, but silly mistakes like that couldn't get it. And then we see Mingo almost finishing on the break with the 2-handed flush. Couldn't get it to go. The man, the myth, the Mingo finished with 3 points in last night's game. As the Lynx would hold on, 76-58 the final. Craig had 20 points for the Lynx, and Noah Allen picks up his first double-double since the last time these two teams met up, all the way back on the 8th of January. Nice win for the Lynx as they pick up win number 17 in advance to 17-10 on the season. All right, so Justin, you saw the highlight there. What was your biggest takeaway from the Lynx win last night? It was an overall team victory.
That probably was my biggest takeaway, honestly. The team came out playing hard and playing physical, and even when we had players out like Lawson, who was a leader, other players stepped up like Mingo and Noel and had great games. And another big key was Javon being aggressive, because we're going to need him in the stretch here as we finish out the year.
Well, you know, you touched on that right there with Javon just now. And Javon, as of late, especially since 2015 started, he's been very, very aggressive, averaging 13 points since 2015 started. And the Lynx are 6-2 now when Leamy scores double digits. What's been the biggest change in Leamy's attitude?
Well, he's always had a great attitude. You know, he's just such a coachable guy. But he's just been aggressive on offense, and he's only a freshman, which is crazy, but he's so strong and fast, and no one can stop him. So when he gets that mentality to score, you know, it's dangerous.
So Lynx, they have 4 games left, 3 at home, 1 on the road at Williams Baptist this coming weekend. They will travel to Batesville, Arkansas to take on that team. And Justin, before we let you go, like I said, the Lynx are coming down the stretch here. What do you look for in these next 4 games from the Lynx, especially with the Freed game on the schedule? You got to know that's a big game.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, like you said, that's a huge game, and the other teams we're playing are also very, very good, capable conference opponents. So heading into the conference tournament in the postseason, you're going to want to have a strong showing for seeding and to show that you can compete with those top teams in your conference.
Well, thank you for your time, Justin.
Thank you.
We'll see you right back around here next week for some more basketball highlights. We're going to step aside, and on the other side of the break, we'll bring you Coach Jeff Fisher and Matt Enkenbrandt caught up with Coach Spinner after last night's game. Stay tuned. This is the Sports Report on LBTV.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
And welcome back, everyone. After last night's victory, the Matt Ankenbrant caught up with head coach Scott Spinner to talk about the Lynx victory over the Trojans.
Matt Ankenbrant here, joined by head men's basketball coach Scott Spinner following the Lynx 76-58 victory over Hannibal LaGrange. Coach, your overall thoughts?
Well, I thought we did some good things tonight. We played tough defense. We were able to get Lawson a little bit of rest. He's needed some rest. We had a long conference stretch there with the 2 and 3 games a week for several weeks in a row, so we wanted to give him a little rest tonight. And overall, I thought we played well, but I wasn't real satisfied with our effort in the last 10 minutes of the game. I thought we played a little too individual basketball, and we need to move that ball around a little bit, execute a little bit better on the offensive end. But overall, I thought we got the job done. Weren't crazy about the way we did it, but we got it done.
You guys didn't get a lot of calls early in the game. What did you tell your team at halftime? Came out and you got 9 fouls in the first 12 minutes.
Well, we told them to keep attacking. We thought that at some point, there was a lot of contact down there. We thought at some point the calls would start to kind of go our way, but we just needed to keep attacking, keep going off 2 feet, holding the ball with 2 hands, and be strong. And eventually we thought we'd draw the calls, and glad we preached that because we did.
Talk about now rebounding a little bit. You guys had a plus 20 rebound margin tonight.
Well, that's one of the things that we do best. The last couple games, I feel like we've gotten away from it, and we did that well tonight. We got Noel kind of back in the double-double range where he belongs, and he's a tremendous rebounder. And I feel like we had a little bit of a size advantage at times out there when we went big, so we were able to use it to our advantage.
Well, Coach, thank you for your time. With the victory, the Lynx moved to 17-10 on the season and 14-5 in the AMC. Next up, they'll travel to Williams Baptist on Saturday. For all updates on men's basketball, head to lindenwoodlynx.com or follow us at Lindenwood Lynx.
And now at this time, we'd like to welcome in the head coach of the Lynx football team, Coach Jeff Fisher, to the desk. And Coach Fisher, thank you for joining us today.
Jake, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks for love having you here at the desk and talking about some football. Like you said, football season will be upon us before you know it. National Signing Day's come and gone, like we talked about, and you guys have some turnover at the quarterback position. You guys lose 3 seniors. You play in a new conference this coming season for 2015, the Mid-States Football Association. So heading into this 2015 season, what do you think the biggest, storyline will be surrounding your team?
I think that it's going to be the senior class. Obviously, to me, it'll be our first senior class, first group of young men that have been here for 4 years and have had the guys that built this program from the ground up. And this group of guys are pioneers from that standpoint. They made a decision to come in here and to build something when there wasn't anything prior, so that was a big jump. I think it's a unique spirit that these guys possess, and so that really will be the storyline. We had signing date, and we're excited about some of the guys we're bringing in. I know we're going to talk about that, but I really believe that my excitement rests more in the idea of how hard the current guys on our team are working right now, and what they're putting into this, and the fact that they're going to get an opportunity to put a signature upon this whole thing in their 4th season. So.
Now, we saw last season, and obviously one of the marks of your football teams are the running game. You guys like to run the football. You have Marlon, you guys have Cam, you guys have EJ. 3 very talented running backs there in the backfield. How are you guys going to evenly distribute playing time and equal touches and things like that, or is that even a concern with those guys?
You know what? It's not a concern to me. I think that at the end of the day, somebody would have to be silly not to think that Cameron Harris is the focal point of that running game, and he will be again. And I think everybody else, kind of will work off of that. Marlon brings a completely separate dimension as far as his ability to catch the football and do some things in space. And so there'll be plenty of touches for all those guys. To me, the biggest thing from that standpoint will be, being able to utilize those guys together on the football field, because I think we can do that. And you start allowing guys to block for each other and to fake for each other and to be a part of that, I think our running game will be able to continue to grow.
Now, I want to get to National Signing Day and the new recruiting class. Just kind of tell us a little bit about some of the heavy hitters you guys brought in this season and expectations for this recruiting class.
And I think I alluded to that when we were off air. Your goal really should be to recruit towards 2 years from now, 3 years from now. That's really what the goal is. Now, you're not going to come off of a 2-win season or a 4-win season and not think that you better be bringing in some guys that can make the difference. If not, you'll probably be staring at similar results. You have expectations that the guys in your program are going to work towards improving and being able to provide more of a impact on the team from a win-loss standpoint. But you also have to bring in some guys, and I think we met our needs from that standpoint. We didn't, we redshirted a large number of guys last year and had some guys that were working on the JV that I really am excited to see how they're developing in this offseason, where they're going to be at moving forward. I truly believe that, outside of maybe a spot here or there, it ought to be tough for a freshman to come in here and be an impact player. I think that between the guys we brought in at break and then the guys that we brought in last year and are training within the system, I'm excited about what those guys are going to bring to the table. A couple, locally speaking, which I think that's important maybe to touch on those guys. Robbie Vall and Mitch Spicer are 2 young men from Freeburg High School, really good football players. Both of them in separate ways. Robbie is, I think, a physical kid playing as a linebacker, and then Mitch is more of a skill kid as a defensive back. Kavion Akins is a kid from Cahokia High School. He's a Division I level sprinter. He's coming here to do both, play football and run track, and because of us now offering track and field, was really a key in us getting him to come and play for us. He's one of those guys that I could see as a freshman coming in just strictly because of his speed and being able to be a guy you target and utilize. And so I think there's some things there with it. Maybe it'll be in the return game or as a guy that will target from the offensive side of the field that I could see, doing something.
Now, you guys did have a lot of injuries on both sides of the ball, on the O and D line last season, and there were some holes to fill there. How are you guys going about that coming into this season, revamping both those lines?
Well, the defensive line side of it, there were a couple kids we redshirted, and there's Javar Glover was a young man that I think we all felt confident was going to be a difference maker. Suffered a knee injury last spring, right before the spring game, and so he missed this season. That's a guy that we feel is a big difference maker on that defensive front. So just adding that into the equation, and then you take the rest of that line and say we lost one guy out of that crew, and so you got guys like James Brown and Brian Richardson, Dallas Richardson, Adrian Ming, Matt Bolharczyk was a young man that we had played linebacker for us last year. He's been a defensive lineman for us here, and that's where he belongs. He's a undersized defensive lineman, but he gets to the quarterback. And so getting him back into a more natural position for him, to me, those things are going to answer themselves. Those questions we can answer within the program, along with the guys, like I said, that we had redshirted. And then offensively, I think there is something to be said about having experience back there, and that's one thing we'll have. We went through some guys. That's a negative for the time when you're sitting there playing freshmen and sophomores. However, when you get over that hump, you can now look back to that as a positive because you're able to get some guys experience in those situations. So now you've got some internal depth. And we brought in a couple of guys in the offensive line. We felt like we had to get some competition right here, right now. And so we feel like we've done that. And then our goal on that side of the ball up front was to bring in some guys that we really felt like we could develop. Maybe this guy's a little bit undersized, but really is explosive and athletic, and as a couple years go by, would really be able to Kevin Lambert's a young man from Flanagan High School in Florida that really fits that bill. Really explosive guy. He's just a little bit undersized for what most guys are looking for. And then Brandon Richardson. Brandon's from Park Hills, Missouri, just on the other side of the river, probably about hour and a half south from here, and same kind of drill. Really a little bit light in the britches for maybe what some people are wanting, but will develop into being, I think, a really, really good lineman for us.
Now, I want to go back to the offensive side of the ball. We saw the gruesome injury last year to Austin Rickoff. What's the update with the quarterback position as far as that goes?
Unfortunately, Austin's probably not going to be participating in football probably ever in the future, much less next year. That's unfortunate for us because as a redshirt freshman and gaining experience, you could see him improving week in, week out, and just a super young man, a guy that we'll miss there. We had redshirted Torian Austin, who was a young man that transferred in, and then Matt Marler got valuable playing experience last year. Connor Zavala was a freshman that played JV for us last year and did a very good job, and you could see him develop. Connor's the kind of guy that could potentially move to other positions. He's that kind of an athlete. However, I also like what he can do at the quarterback position, so we're going to keep him here at that point in time. At the end of the day, a guy like Torian, bringing him in as a transfer, we wanted to redshirt him last year, give him an opportunity to really gel and develop within the system, and he did. He just did a tremendous job on the scout team and really was the kind of guy that you could see guys believing in him, and you could see that he's got tons of ability, so that's going to be exciting to watch. It'll be an exciting spring from that standpoint. I think that he'll probably be pushing as the front runner in there. I think that Matt will work his tail off to try to compete for that job, and that's good. And I think that moving into his senior season, that's going to be a big motivation factor for him. And then we brought in some good kids, some young guys that can run, throw the football, and I think some guys that can compete next year for that job, maybe not, but are definitely going to be guys that are going to develop at that position.
Well, you rattled off a huge number. All those guys very, very good at their position, very good quarterbacks. In your opinion, would you call this an open quarterback competition heading into 2015?
I always say that. I would say that I don't care if I got a 3-year starter sitting there. It doesn't matter to me. I think that every position has to be considered open for competition. I firmly believe that's what should fuel and drive a football team is competition within the program. I would be kidding at times if I said, well, at tailback, everybody can fight for that job with Cam Harris. At the end of the day, however, what I'll tell you is this: is somebody comes in and they're better, that guy better work his butt off in order to keep that job, in order to prove that point every day. And I think if you don't do that, you can open the door for complacency. It might not be at that position. It might not be that year. It might be the next year. And somebody says, well, I'm a senior now, so this is my job. And I don't believe in that. I believe that the best guy plays, and they fight for it every day. And I think if you can get to that point at every position, you're going to be tough to beat.
We'll get you out of here on this one, Coach. You guys, as we referenced at the top of the interview, you guys will join the Mid-States Football Association this coming season. How big is that for your team now and down the road?
Well, it's big. It's not easy. This is the toughest league in the nation, period. I mean, there's not any getting around that. You'd go back, the past 4 national championship games have been included a team from the conference. 3 of those 4, the conference has won. 3 different teams. It's tough. It's a tough league. Our schedule, we've tried to put together in the past to represent what that's going to be like. And so I think that to say we're prepared for this challenge isn't necessarily. We've been preparing for it with the schedule we put together. The teams we've played can mimic that. Playing Georgetowns and teams of that level are somewhat what we're going to be facing when we get into the conference and playing conference teams. So I think we're ready for it from the standpoint that we get it. We know what we're up against. I just don't know if you can ever be truly ready for what this conference presents. We played this conference when I was at McKendree, and it's a tough nut to crack. So it'll be a challenge for sure. I'm excited about it, and I will tell you right now, there's not a kid on our team coming back that's not excited about that opportunity as well.
Well, it looks to be a pretty interesting football season. I know personally myself, I'm excited to see you guys get back out there and hit the gridiron and take on some new conference opponents. Thanks for your time, Coach. We'll let you go back to the office and work on some off-season football things. That's all we've got, everyone. I'd like to thank you for watching the Sports Report here on LBTV. Have a great Sibley Day and a great rest of your week. We'll see you right back around next week, same time, same place. For everyone here at LBTV, I'm Jake Griffith. This is the Sports Report.